HackerNoon podcast.
One question about your career, like as you were kind of coming up in the 90s, do you think
Oh
this
boy.
kind of NFT
Whoa.
boom would be your trajectory would have been different? Like, do you feel like you should have like a million Big Show NFTs like kind of sitting in your crypto wallet, and like ownership over that character could have been different if like the technology and the infrastructure was more like it is in this case?
Oh, if I didn't know what I know now, number one, I wouldn't have done the Big Show character to begin with. I'd have kept my real name because I don't own the intellectual property to Big Show. WWE does. So once I left WWE, all that intellectual property they own. So they can do whatever that now. They can make NFTs. They can do whatever they want. It's not. I'm like the actor that played Captain America. I'm not really Captain America. In their minds, they own the intellectual property, just like Marvel Studios owns a character or DC owns a character. So yeah, going back in time, I should have used my real name. But when I started, wrestlers didn't use their real name because they always had a gimmick name. I mean, I used to stay in the hotels and I used to stay under Richard Kimball, which was the Fugitive. That was my old hotel alias, was Richard Kimball, because
that's awesome.
This is back before the internet, but if the fans are always those group of fans that always talk, and if somebody found out your real name, then they call your hotel and all that stuff. So it's a different time now, and it's moving at a faster pace. I mean, look how technology has changed just in the past 50 years, from the 1970s to now. I'm 50 years old, so I was born in 72. Technology changed from, having a little, like a Walkman, you know what I mean? That, to CD players, to portable DVD players, to now music, to like everything I need. I can put on my Apple Watch.
I caught 8 Mile on TV last night, and he's still walking around with a Walkman, and that was like a 2000 whatever movie, and you have him with a Walkman in his hands,
Yeah, like it's like, but that's, so who knows what kind of technology we're going with, and that's I think that's the attraction for us that are science fiction fantasy fans, is that possibility. Look at Star Trek, Kirk with a communicator. That's basically a StarTAC telephone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When the StarTAC's right now, it's even further. I mean, Get Smart, he talked into a shoe, or the watch, or all the spy movies. You could talk and use your watch for a phone. What today's science fiction is tomorrow's science fact. So.
Do you have any cool science facts, coming up in how you're filming it? Is there any kind of visual representations of future technologies that you're particularly excited about?
I have, like, my characters created a very, very cool weapon that also it's just really badass. The basic premise of the weapon is with the alien technology that I was able to wormhole think, because obviously the way these aliens get around, they're not taking 20,000 years to travel through space and time. They're traveling through space and time, but they're also able to manipulate and fold space. So I'm able to localize with a gauntlet, so to speak, that has the ability to control gravity. So I can create, basically in a small room, say there's 10 bad guys, I can create the gravity of a small continent in a 30-foot area and just flatten everything. So it's kind of my, there's a price to pay for it, as anything. You don't want anything too OP'd. There's a price to pay for it, which will be explained in the show as it moves on. But it's one of those final solution, like it's my get out of jail free weapon. So, but there is a price for it, which I like, because I like the fact that something that powerful that wasn't built by us, though we may be able to get it to the toaster to work, occasionally we're going to burn toast because we don't know how to set it. To me, that makes kind of sense. So there's going to be things that we have made work, but it wasn't supposed to work like that, and there's a price for it. So
we also
consequences have actions. Actions have consequences.
We also removed a lot of the time. We use technology to remove a lot of the time travel requires. So that allowed us to, use the whole globe and telling stories. So there's factions in the Middle East, there's factions in Asia, and they can have conversations or be in the same room as someone else. And they don't need a 20-hour travel day. It might be an hour kind of thing. So using some things like that help the story. But also you see that tech coming with Hyperloop. You see that tech coming with supersonic jets and whatnot. So all these things are, as Paul was saying, science fiction becomes science fact pretty quick.
pretty quick.
Yeah.
So
Cool. And what's kind of next on your minds for how, like, if we're sitting here, you know, kind of a year from now, what does the community of Gen Zeros and this fan base kind of look like?
It's a great question. I think it's going to depend a lot on our next partner. There's a couple of front runners right now, one of which I can't really go into it, but one of
yeah,
which
don't you stooge anything off.
Yeah, I won't. One of them has kind of a grand vision for it, and I think it's exciting. So a year from now, though, I'll be honest. Hopefully, we're closing production or we're in post production for whatever comes next. And I think that's going to involve both. As I talked about those layers for the fans, we're never going to ignore this, because really what we've created is a spark, right? We created the spark of a vision. We filmed it over 2 days. The cast and the crew put in incredible time to get this thing done. The vision and everything else that's kind of shaping around it. We're always going to, pay homage and honor those people that have done that. So there'll be a lot of kind of fan stuff coming. We have some incredible comic artists that have got some things that are brewing. So there's a lot coming.
Yeah, that's pretty good at not telling anything. That was a good job. Yes, the sky's the limit. Well done, sir.
Okay,
well
how about
done.
this one? How are the Netflixes and these production companies going to follow what you're doing about how to market a new live action thing? You know, like, how are you going to see? How are they going to be kind of imitating what's worked or what you think will work here?
So let me give you a quick story of what actually happened. So this is the landscape currently. When we went to ComicCon, we met with the organizers. The way we got a booth was there was someone else that wasn't using it this year just because of the pandemic and whatever else. And then when ComicCon found out that we were there and we were with NFTs, they weren't super happy, because a lot of the Comic-Con organizers don't like NFTs. They equate NFTs with a lot of these Bored Apes and kind of, I don't want me to rip on that community because it's a staple of what that community did and how it grew. But a lot of these, bored pandas and bored rhinos and bored whatever, like, they saw it as very derivative and very predatorial on fans. So anyway, Marvel, though, has leaned right into this, and they wanted to have a huge booth called like Marvel NFTs and whatever. And Comic-Con said no. Comic-Con said no to Marvel.
I didn't know that.
So, and there was people walking around Comic-Con with shirts that said "fuck NFTs," and literally they'd walk by the booth. You guys, rah, 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 rah. We won a lot of them over. I will say that once we got them in and we actually showed them the artwork and how all an NFT is at its core is a way to protect the digital rights and provide ownership to the artist. Like, it literally should be the thing that they are most excited about when done properly. Anyway, all these shirts, people crushing it, but there was a lineup for people that wanted to buy digital collectibles. It was just a branding thing. You take the name off it, you don't call it NFTs, you call them digital collectibles. And there was a lineup of people for these artists that were producing these pieces. So how are they going to follow us? I've already had conversations with every major streaming network after this. The company that helped put this together, House of Kiba, they're in talks with some of these groups to help them with their strategies. They're all looking at it. They just won't be called NFTs. It's going to be.
You got to get the vernacular, I think, that people are comfortable with, because you're saying that to me, NFTs, non-fungible token. People get leery because they don't understand it. It's like back in the day when people had horses and wagons, and then there was an auto voiture. Like, nobody wants an auto voiture unless you're super elite or super smart. But, once the language gets more defined, once everything gets put together, the right format, so everyone can understand what they're getting into, what they want to collect, how they're going to collect it, how they're going to be a part of it. And the main thing that's going to drive this, yes, the collectibles, the digital collectibles and all that will drive it, but also I think the story and the performances, I think, is going to be a big driving factor too. And we know anything about big business, that there's an opportunity to create more revenue in anything. It's going to be evaluated, it's going to be streamlined, and it's going to work for everyone. So, we're in unknown territory right now, creating this and doing this. So, but at the core of it, our number one I'd say prime directive is to, you know, protect our community and take care of our community with content. So to steal a line from prime directive from Star Trek, that our prime directive is our community. So I know personally, whatever I get involved with, the integrity that I maintain with the community is my is one of my most important situations, because I want our fans to really get wrapped up in Gen Zeros, feel like they're a part of it, and know that they're getting something out of it besides entertainment.
Yeah, it's cool. These digital assets really do give them something to connect to. I think some of that resistance you're talking about ComicCon isn't just the term NFT, it's also who gets a revenue share on all this fandom. And now that you purchases outside of that ecosystem into your own ecosystem or into shared ecosystems and shared wallets that aren't necessarily, you know, controlled by them, it does it's probably much better, you know, for the fan in the long run. But it's just like these corporate terms, it's like you throw out the word NFT, it helps with investors, it helps with enterprise meetings, it hurts with the fans. It's just a term that's not welcoming. It shows a level of expertise that you don't need to buy a trading card, you know, to buy an original design. So it's cool to hear your kind of stories on the ground. I guess
this is early too. I mean, think about where things are going with metaverse and stuff like that, and all this digital content and whatnot. And, you know, who knows where things are going in the future. So like I said, this is pretty groundbreaking, pretty new stuff. But once the community understands that they're actually getting a part of something, I think they'll definitely come around and get even more excited about it.
An ending kind of with, I want to be respectful of your time, of kind of a very serious question here. You know, if these aliens do come to Earth and they greet you first, what would you say? How should they treat humanity, and what should they know about us?
Be careful. Be careful. You know, like I would say as far as dealing with humanity, you can't judge everybody by one, but there's a reason why the most dominant species on the planet is the human race, and we have the ability for abstract thinking, and our eyes are located in the front of our face to judge our distance to our prey. So human beings are very vicious and very conniving and very calculating. So I would think that an alien race of superior technology either comes in shock and awe, or if they try to be nice, be very careful, because there's a lot of people a lot smarter than me that might have a different directive. So there you go. How's that for sci-fi dystopian enough? There you go.
I love that. I don't think I can compete with that answer, so I'm not even going to try.
Well, insects, I think, have a small claim for world dominance as well. Even though very small, but they're very plentiful.
And most of the time, a lot of insects are dealing with a hive mind too. You know, there's the problem, not the problem, one of the success stories of why human beings have overcome war, famine, disease, and all the things that we've overcome, and where we've gone from rubbing sticks in the dark to light a fire to going to the moon, you know, is that ego and that critical thinking mind. So it's a dangerous combo. So we'll see, because there's a bunch of us that would love to, I'm sure there's a bunch of people that would be fascinated by other cultures and, you know, and want to go tour and want to go see that other place and do all that stuff and welcome with open arms. And there were some would see it as an opportunity, and then there'll be some that would be terrified to death. Nuke first, ask questions later. So, you know, that's a beautiful thing about the world. There's so many different opinions that somehow it all turns into a rock soup. It all still works.
You'll have to let me leave you with Paul with hair here. There we go, Paul.
Oh yeah, that's super nice. Yeah. See, I have that same haircut, but in reverse. The middle's gone. The top's not there. If I could still grow the middle, I'd have the middle. Right now, I can just grow a skullet. And, you know, I'm scared if I grow a skullet real long and I go hiking up in the Pacific Northwest, somebody will shoot me for Bigfoot. So, you know, right now I'll keep the head shaved.
I let my daughter do my last haircut.
She did good.
Yeah,
she did good. You've got that whole Tom Cruise Mission Impossible thing going. You know, kind of a rogue.
No haircut for 4 or 5 months. Started over.
How old is she?
5.
5. Well,
you're brave man.
Wow.
Yeah, working on the life skills early.
Yeah, Yeah, yeah. You figure the worst case scenario, you can shave your head and do a co jump.
Uh-huh.
So there you go.
Yeah,
There
that's
you
exactly
go.
what I was thinking.